Hello, Jay here. If I could ask, could you give us a little 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts? Go on, please. It won't take long. You can just do it now. That'd be lovely. And share the podcast. Tell your friends. Appreciate it. And on today's show, we're talking to the owner of Sumalee boxing gym, Lynn Miller. Originally from Wales in the UK, Lynn moved to Phuket 12 years ago. She talks about her journey to Phuket and her journey in Phuket, working in the very male-dominated sport and business of Muay Thai. Lynn is one amazing lady, strong and resilient, smart and kind, and will not take any nonsense, that's a clean way to say bullshit, from anyone. I love Lynn. She's super, super, super cool. I like this one. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh wow, that was very. That
was very posh. That was very posh.
Have you been studying about how
No,
interviewing?
and this is my first podcast. So
Have you not done a podcast before?
No, I've never done a podcast before. Somebody
Plenty
did
of
ask
video.
me once, and I said no, I don't want to do a podcast because I don't like talking. And the guy said, Lynn, have you ever met yourself?
That's like saying you don't like going to charity events and buying lots of stuff that's on the raffles.
Yes.
Same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't really like wine.
I don't actually. I don't drink anymore.
Lynn Miller.
Yes.
Now, let's get this right.
Oh, don't point at me.
Sumalee, is that right?
Sumalee.
Oh,
So no, it's the answer to your question. Sumalee.
Sumalee.
Yeah.
Boxing gym.
Yeah.
Is it boxing gym? It is, isn't it?
It is boxing gym, yeah.
Okay. How long have you been in Phuket for?
I have been in Phuket for nearly 12 years now. It'll be 12 years in August. But the first time I came to Phuket was in 2000.
That was 21 years ago. I
No,
did the maths.
check you out.
And the first time I came to Thailand was in 1983.
There you go, Jay.
Were you born then, Jay?
Just.
Thank you very much. I'm taking that one.
Yeah.
That's lovely. 83. What was I doing in 83?
Probably not a lot.
Probably watching WWF.
You were probably quite
wrestling.
young.
I was. I'm a 76. I'm 45.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you how old I am. You don't need to
You don't
know.
look a day over 30.
I know.
Russell's older.
38.
Why did you come here in 83? What was a holiday, I'm guessing?
I actually came on I didn't come to Phuket. I came to Thailand.
Okay.
So I went to Bangkok and I went to Pattaya, and I actually came on my honeymoon. So it was my first foray into the Far East, and we did Hong Kong, Bangkok, Pattaya, and Singapore, but not in that order.
When were you in Hong Kong and Singapore?
I was in Hong Kong from 79 to 90 and Singapore from 90 to 94.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you bump into each other
No.
at all?
I don't think we did.
No.
We might. I mean, I went to my fair share of charity dues in Hong Kong back in the day, so we might
I
have.
wasn't into charity dues at that
So in that
stage.
case, no.
I couldn't afford them. at that
Only
stage.
now. With them all, with the champagne.
Yeah.
So where were you? UK originally?
Yes.
Whereabouts?
I'm from South Wales originally.
Okay.
But I spent most of my adult life in the New Forest, which you know very well.
Oh, I know very well
Jay.
the New Forest.
Yes.
Ditto.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in South Wales?
So the place I was born was a place called Newbridge, which is just across the border actually in South Wales. So I lived there for 17 years, and then I went to the Midlands for 1 year because my parents moved up to the Midlands. Then I went back to South Wales for 6 years. I was in Swansea for 6 years.
Okay.
What were you doing at that point? I'm guessing that was
In Swansea,
post-school.
I was at university, yeah.
Oh, okay. What was your uni degree?
So I did 2 degrees,
check
of course,
you out.
needless to say. So my first degree was in psychology, and my second degree was PhD, which was a study on the cognitive, social, and psychological effects of secondhand cigarette smoke. So it was one of the early studies on passive smoking.
Okay. And what were your findings?
Just
out of interest, if you remember. What did I actually say about the time?
It was a huge volume of many different studies and experiments. So the findings were that basically, and to cut a long story short, that of course at that time people smoked a lot more than they do now, and it was very common in meetings and things like that to be in a very smoky environment. So the basic finding was that non-smokers did actually suffer a considerable amount of psychological discomfort from being in a smoky environment, and that affected how they performed on cognitive tasks and how they interacted interpersonally as well, and how they perceived smokers. So in short, that was what it was about.
And I would also argue the physical side effects of that. I mean, obviously from a PhD, you're just doing
and I was
on
doing
one side.
psychology,
Far out. No,
Yeah.
Do you two want to carry on?
No, sorry, just...
I'm out of this right now.
Have you ever smoked?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay,
I
and
did.
were you smoking at the time?
I was smoking at the time.
So what was the... Because on one side, you're kind of looking at it from another... Were you looking to say, no, these secondhand smokers are full of shit, they don't know what they're talking about, there's nothing wrong with smoking? Or was it a case of you were aware of what the real impact of smoking was?
No.
Or was this a random, that sounds like a good idea?
None of those things, actually. It was because at that time it was an emergent issue.
Right.
And I was offered a scholarship to do some research from the Social Science Research Council. And so having been offered this scholarship, that I then discussed with my the person who was going to supervise my PhD. Well, what do we think is going to be a good area to work on? And he'd seen a report in one of the highbrow newspapers, but I can't remember which one it was.
The Sun.
Yes, it was. And it was a study on pilots and how pilots...
Sorry, pilots with an L, not pirates.
Yeah.
I actually thought you said parrots. That's what I was thinking. I was going to make parrot jokes. I was going to make parrot jokes.
Yeah, it was airline pilots.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember a lot about that. Airline pilots. Because, of course, at that time, you could smoke on airplanes.
My old man used to do that because my old man was a smoker, and at the time,
I thought you were going to say he was a pilot.
No, he wasn't a pilot. It might have been a pirate.
He was never a parrot.
He used to go to the back of the plane where you could. There was certain seats at the back of the plane you were allowed to go.
Yeah.
And then people would swap, and they'd say, "Oh, can you have 5 minutes in your seat?" and stuff like that.
And actually, you could still do that up until 2000 at least on certain airlines.
Really?
Yeah. On Malaysian Airlines, you could do it. Yeah. I can't remember when they started to phase it out, but there were certain airlines that allowed it for a long time.
What was your fags of choice?
Well, before...
I mean cigarettes for the American listeners.
So actually my research actually led me into the tobacco industry, which might be a strange choice. So I went, after I finished my PhD, and this is relevant to the question, after I finished my PhD, I was recruited as a research scientist for BAT, which is a company you may well be familiar with.
British American Tobacco?
Yeah, that was why I ended up in the Southampton area, the New Forest area, because the research and development is in Southampton. So prior to joining BAT, I smoked Marlboro, and on joining... Reds,
Red.
Of course.
Wow,
yeah, of course.
Of course. Of course I did, yeah.
And then I went to BAT. I switched brands to 555, which was their signature brand. Yes.
I've never heard of 555.
Yeah, well, it's particularly...
The gold ones.
It was very popular, particularly in Asia at that time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that.
So,
well, you're coughing enough, so I'm just wondering how many fags have you had today? Cigarettes, that is, once again. When you did your psychology degree, what did you want to go into?
Oh, well, now this is another story. I wanted to be a clinical psychologist. And so a clinical psychologist deals with, we used to call it abnormal behavior at that time, but it dealt with people that had psychiatric issues. And I was really, really keen. This is what I wanted to do. And when you read about it in textbooks, it's incredibly interesting. And so initially I was going to do an MSc. After my first degree, I was going to do an MSc.
Master of Science.
Thank you.
in clinical psychology. And I was all lined up to do that, but I was very fortunate because we had at the university a clinical psychologist that used to work as a mentor to the students. And he said that those people that were going on to do the MSc in clinical psychology were invited to go to the local psychiatric hospital, which was called Kevin Coyd, and it was on the edge of Swansea, to spend a day there to get a feel for what it was like. And I went, and I can tell you now, within 5 minutes, I knew that I could never...
This was a mental hospital, basically.
Well, we like to call them psychiatric hospitals.
It's a mental hospital.
A mental hospital.
Yeah. And it was...
was it back in... so it's back in the days where it was straight jackets and kind of...
I was going to say, I'm guessing the standards were a little bit different.
To be honest, I didn't actually witness people in straitjackets, but there were rooms that were padded to deal with people that had psychotic episodes.
I'm not going to ask you your age, but how old were you at that time when you went to that place?
Well, I was just finished my degree, so I was 21.
21, okay.
And at that time, I don't even know if they still do this, but they used to do a therapy called ECT, which is electroconvulsive therapy.
That's the one.
And I witnessed that as well, which was like horrific. It was just...
Do they still do that in America with tasers?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Thank you for laughing at that joke.
That was a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's the only, we can finish now.
We're not editing that bit.
I saw it on your list that you had to include a joke.
One joke an episode.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So mental people is what you wanted to go into.
Yeah, I wanted to go into that, but I just knew then that this was not going to be the field for me. It was there were lots of men in particular who all day long had to stay in their pajamas because they couldn't escape. So that if they did escape,
you could recognize
they would be easily found. There were locked wards and like double levels of security, and I just can't. I still remember it very clearly, and I can't describe to you how horrific it was. And it was scary. For me, it was scary because their behavior was unpredictable. And you didn't know what they were going to say and what they were going to do. And I realized that I couldn't cope with that, that it was... I need to have predictable situations, otherwise I become very uneasy. So that was the end of that.
So you went into smoking?
Sorry?
You went into smoking instead?
Yeah, but it was very predictable.
Smoking, yeah.
I can completely relate. We mentioned on a previous podcast, I had for different reasons, but I had a similar reaction when I was at a much younger age, when I was sort of thrust into that environment as a part of a school to a community outreach program, and it just freaked me right out. And I was just like, there was just no way. Even today, I still struggle in that sort of environment.
Yeah.
And from your perspective, though, you were looking at, I want to be a clinical psychologist at the time, but there's such a range of psychiatric issues, for want of a better term, dealing with anything from just, say, dare I use the term, straight standardized depression, as non-standardized as that is, versus someone that's got some very, very serious issues where neurons aren't firing or are firing at the wrong time. So you're dealing with very unpredictable elements versus dealing with someone that's just really clinically depressed, but not necessarily unpredictable.
But I think that the thing was, as I remember, and this is a long time ago now, in order to qualify to be a clinical psychologist, you have to go through all the different elements, which included a period of secondment in a psychiatric hospital.
A period of what, sorry?
Secondment.
Okay, Russell.
Working there.
Thank you.
Yeah. What do they call it now?
Working. I don't know. Some of us just use normal words.
Work experience.
Oh, okay. There you go. Free stuff.
Yeah.
Working for free. Internship.
Yeah.
All that.
Well, it was. Yeah. Anyway, and I was quite fortunate because at that time I had three options. One was clinical psychology, because I always kept my options open. So one was clinical, the other was industrial, I'd been accepted in Sheffield University to do an MSc in industrial psychology. And then the third one, which came at a late stage, once I got my degree and the results of my degree, I then got offered the scholarship.
Right.
And that gave me the opportunity of spending a further 3 years in university, which, I jumped at the chance. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have done that.
So that's what I did, yeah.
Sweet.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
And then
Well, thanks for joining the podcast.
Yeah. New Forest
I'm
smoking.
finished now.
Yeah. So before, you then came to Thailand in 83 for a holiday.
Yeah.
So when did you were still working and living in the New Forest?
Yeah.
From then up until 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So what were you doing in the New Forest? Because you weren't still working for the cigarette company.
No, I only worked for them for 5 years. And then and during that period of working for them, I did come to the Far East, although it wasn't Thailand. It was, in that case, that was Singapore and Malaysia, working on research projects, which kind of reinforced my interest and fascination with Asia. But after that 5-year period, I then set up my own research consultancy called Miller Associates, and I worked on research projects primarily in kind of social policy, local government projects, and I think I did that for 25 years. I had that research business for 25 years.
When you say research, what do you put that in my terms?
Homework.
It was mainly I worked on all aspects of, in particular, local government. So it could be on education, it could be on roads, it could be on recycling.
So the government would ask you to do some research on the road?
Well, it wasn't actually on the road as such. What it would be at a more strategic level. So basically in government in the UK and in local government, behind what happens on the ground, there's a hell of a lot of strategic planning. And for example, there's something called the local transport plan, right? So they don't just decide one day, oh, I'm going to build a road. They have a plan, and it'll be a 20-year plan. And that plan will have to take account of current road conditions, future road conditions, all the expected parameters that will impact on what's required within the transport plan. And it might be new housing development, it might be a new airport terminal or whatever. They have to plan for that. They can't just suddenly say, oh dear, we've got a new terminal at Southampton Airport, we need to build a road.
Like they do here.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be more longer term planning. Yeah. And that plan has to go through a public consultation phase. So, because often the plan might involve building a new road through the New Forest, for example, and people in the New Forest are not going to be happy about that. So, part of the process would be the public consultation stage, where you would talk to local people. And you might do that in, there might be different ways. It might be, like business to business will be one-to-one interviews with business leaders, a lot of focus groups, which I'm sure you've heard of, and surveys. And the purpose of it was to try and put into perspective so people would understand, well, this is the reason why we need a new road, or we need a new bypass, or whatever. So people could make informed decisions about whether or not they supported a particular policy.
So your company would do that research?
We would do the research, and then once we'd done the research, that would then be presented to the politicians, or the local politicians in that case, and then the politicians would vote on that policy. So the policy is designed by the civil servants. Then you go through the public consultation phase, and then it's the politicians that will decide whether or not to go forward with that.
So 25 years of that.
So 25 years of presenting. I mean, obviously it wasn't all rose. There were a lot of very interesting projects too. But doing the work, doing the research, pulling it all together and then presenting it to the people that ultimately would make the decisions.
How did you choose to go down? I'm not seeing a lot of psychology in that. I'm sure there's elements of it, and also but the research.
You missed the link.
You missed the link, Russ.
Yeah,
You're the missing link, Russ.
I went at the wrong exit, a roundabout or something.
You did. So during the PhD, it was a research-based PhD.
That bit I connect.
So
yeah.
then you learn all the research,
Correct.
or used all the research methods.
Yes.
So those research methods are
Apply to
applicable in different
okay.
situations. And of course, this kind of stuff is all kind of attitude measuring and stuff like that, which is very much in the area, in the field of psychology.
Sure.
So,
Okay, cool.
so there was a link, but
Excellent.
it wasn't quite as direct as one might expect.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, to be fair, so many people, I was going to argue myself included, we go to uni, do a degree, and then do something completely different.
Yeah.
So which is not completely out the realm.
Did you not train dogs at university?
No, I did hotel management, and I swore I would never work in hotels ever again, although technically I'm now running a hotel. Technically.
Which one?
Canine Point Academy.
Oh, right.
If you've got a dog that needs training, or you're just going away for a little while, then you can go to Canine Point Academy.
That was fucking seamless.
There you go. 12 years ago, you made the move to Phuket.
Yeah.
So what was the process of you going, do you know what? I've done 25 years.
Done my time.
Miller Associates. I
Yeah.
want a new challenge. I want something new. I want to get out. What was the reason for you to come in?
Well, there was, on the business-wise side of things, I had been doing it for 25 years. I feel that the business was moderately successful. And, but it was, there were a number of things actually. I was getting older, and I always had a thing about, as a external contracted out consultant, I always felt that there's an age limit on it, because you get to a point where the client is kind of looking, who are we going to contract these services out to? And there are a lot of younger people coming up. They maybe more dynamic, maybe cheaper, not so experienced, but obviously in local government it's all about cost. And of course at that time, it's 2009, we were hitting the financial crisis, budgets were being cut. And one of the things that was quite pivotal really was I went to a meeting, and the council was Basingstoke and Deane Borough Council. And there was a politician there. He was, what do you call them, the chair of the council, but not quite sure if that was the name. But he was the lead man of the council. And he was a bully. He was a real bully. And it was a meeting that there were many things on the agenda, of which the research that I was presenting was one of them. But there was a young officer, civil servant, young officer, and she came in to present her findings. And I can't remember the details, but he really bullied her. And none of the other officers, more senior officers, none of them supported her. And it was a dreadful experience to watch. And I just thought, do I really want to be doing this? Do I want to be kind of watching these things play out for much longer? That maybe there are other things that I can be doing at this stage in my life. So it was a number of different factors really that all came together, and I just felt I'm going to have a year off. I'm going to do something, because throughout my career I'd gone from one step to the other to the next, and I'd never had a career break. So I just thought, I'm going to have a break for a year. I'm going to follow the thing that I've always wanted to do, which is to live in Asia for a while. And that was the decision. And the reason why we came to Phuket is that we had been coming to Phuket for 9 years by that time.
Just the holidays.
So
Yeah.
you've been back and forth having holidays.
Been back and forth, because in 2000 they built the JW Marriott in the north of the island, and we invested in one of their vacation club weeks.
Oh, you got timeshare.
I've got two.
Oh, wow. Check you out.
Yeah. So we invested in that, and because of that, we then came back and forth to Phuket on a regular basis. So that was why we chose Phuket.
What was it? A little bit of a drink of water. What was it like Phuket back in 2000 and when you first started coming? Because I bet it was a lot different now.
Dirt tracks and a lot of places going over the hill and stuff like that.
A lot of people ask me that, and I think one of the things when you come to a place like this on holidays, you actually only see a very, very limited part of the, in this case, island. So, and to be honest with you, we stayed in the JW Marriott, and we mainly came down the main road and went to Patong, or at that time it was mainly Patong that you went to for the restaurants.
Tell us about your times in
Patong.
Patong.
So you didn't actually see much of what was
I bet
behind.
you saw some things
saw
in Patong.
a fair bit,
In terms of the infrastructure, you didn't really see
I bet there's a fair amount of infrastructure
what was going on behind the scenes.
behind the scenes.
I went to the blowjob bar then. Brilliant.
So, and then when you live here, it happens very gradually, doesn't it? And surprisingly, there's still very, very large areas of Phuket that are still very natural and very undeveloped.
No, it's true. I've been flying, well, until I crashed my drone. Flying my drone a lot, you can see there's so many beautiful places that are not. And you're right, the development is so close to the main road. That's what you see.
Yeah.
But right in the middle and to the sides and up north. And
so many places
it's lovely.
there. And in particular during this period when we haven't got many tourists and I've had more time to myself, I've spent a lot of time going out and seeing these less developed parts, and it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
So you decided to make the move here full time, or for the year?
No,
It was just for the year.
Yeah, it came for a year.
And so where did you stay then?
I stayed in Nai Han.
Okay. So you were a vegan and doing yoga at the time?
No.
Okay.
At that time, Nai Han wasn't like that. I stayed in, actually at that time, Nai Han, the main thing I think was the Muay Thai at that time. There were quite a few Muay Thai gyms.
This is where we're going to get into. So did you trained and you were a professional fighter?
Yes, of course. So when I first arrived, I was quite fit at that time, and physically fit, and I came here and it's like I envisaged that I would spend a year lying on the beach reading all the books that I'd ever wished that I could read. Well, number one, we came towards the end of rainy season, so you'd go to the beach and within half an hour it would start to rain and you'd have to come back. And number two is that it was very, without having a real structure to the day, having worked all of my life, to suddenly find myself in a situation day after day after day where there was no structure.
Draining.
I wasn't really enjoying it very much. And, oh God, we tangentially been involved in the Muay Thai.
What? There's no way. I don't even. You tie what?
Tangentially. Which is,
even if you say it slowly, I still don't know what it means.
At the side of our lives.
Just sort of, it's there, sort of doing a bit like us in the podcast. It's sort of there.
Yeah, at the side of our lives, we had some involvement with the Muay Thai, and because of that, we started to watch a Muay Thai fighter train people. And
was he hot? Is that why he was watching?
No.
Okay.
He was just somebody that we were helping at the time. And I was kind of watching it. And I said to Rian, well, I don't think they're doing anything that I can't do. And so we eventually joined a local gym, and we trained there every day. And it was fantastic. It was so enjoyable. And of course, it provided the structure in the day that we were, or that I was certainly looking for. And we met loads of people. It appeared to be a very kind of friendly environment, and so that was how we initially became involved with the Muay Thai.
And then,
Don't stop there.
But
and just also, when we talk about we.
Rian and I, my
yes.
daughter,
So, well, I mean, obviously I know, but for those people sort of tuning in and listening.
for the listener, we've done Rian.
Yeah, well, yeah, yes.
In fact, I've done her twice.
Well, which can we say that for the outro?
Yeah, we can. Okay.
Just because you're sat right next to Mum, it might be best if we...
Well, very true. But this time you had your business in the UK was.
I was running that as well.
So that was still going.
That was still going,
Okay.
and actually I used to fly back to do projects from time to time. During that year, I flew back twice, I think. One to do a project with headmasters of secondary schools, and the other was to do a project on recycling. So I was kind of coming back and forth.
Okay.
So then, yeah, we
Good
started.
job we didn't do one on carbon emissions.
I've made up for it in the last year.
Yeah.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, we all, yeah.
So then, whilst I was training at that gym, I got to know the gym owner, who was a very well-known fighter, Muay Thai fighter. And he had the business, but he wasn't... there were a number of business skills that he needed help on, and so I used to talk to him and offer him advice and suggest things, and you know, I got involved in doing some photography for them and this, that and the other. And towards the end of the year that we were planning to stay, he asked me if I would like to invest in that business. And I thought, wow, this is just a golden opportunity. This ticks,
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? This ticks one of my bucket list boxes, because...
What, to own a Muay Thai?
No, to have the opportunity to work in Asia. It's something that I'd always wanted to do, but you know, when I was in my other life, my research life, when I used to often look to see if I could find a job, and they just seemed to be really kind of scary and a lot of responsibility. And I thought, wow, this is a fantastic opportunity to spend more time in Asia, to have some time working in Asia. So yeah, I invested in that gym. And
Can I sorry to jump in? And by doing that, therefore, extending your 1 year stint that was here.
Yeah.
So, and again, just for those that haven't maybe listened to Rianne's podcast, you're here with her.
Yeah.
Did you both come out together?
Yes.
Both with the idea, we'll just do this for a year and see how that plays out.
Yeah.
And then we're both, actually, we're going to stay a bit longer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, because during that time, Rian very quickly became very proficient in Thai. And
Her
was...
Thai's amazing.
Yeah, her Thai is really good, and she can read and write
Yeah.
Thai, and she's currently studying now to be a court interpreter, which is
Which Russell will benefit from.
which is demanding. It's very demanding. But so she'd become very proficient in Thai, and so yeah, we both decided to. We went back to the UK for a while, and then you know, because I think I had to work on another project, and then we came back. In 2010, September 2010, we came back. And I was still running the other business in the UK as well at that time.
What was it like? Now, I'm going to, for a
Careful.
Yeah. For a female white person, foreigner, I shouldn't say white person, for a female foreigner to step into the Muay Thai kind of business, that must have been quite daunting. I know you're a strong young lady.
I didn't actually feel...
Did you not even think about
that?
that?
I didn't feel daunted in perhaps the way that you thought about, because predominantly most of my career has been predominantly amongst males, because when I was a research scientist at BAT, I was the only female research scientist. And, you know, when I had my research company, I'm not saying that most of my clients were male, but not exclusively. So I never thought about the male-female issue.
But what about from a foreigner issue?
Yeah. Or is it more just we're swept along with the adventure of the opportunity was there?
And really, to be honest with you, I you know, when I look back now, I think, oh God, you know, I've come through all of this by the grace of God, because everything that I've done has been so audacious, really. And I was just swept along with it. And I thought, wow, what an opportunity. And, it brought me into an arena where there were, it just had so much life to it. It was very vibrant. There was, a lot of younger people, in the first kind of stages of adult life, and there was just energy is the word. There was a lot of energy, and I was swept along with that.
And
so
you'd been here at that stage for a while. You knew the place. I think it might have been different if you'd been in Muay Thai back in the UK and came and said, let's go to Phuket and set up a gym.
Yeah.
That would have been way more.
And also, of course, remember at that time I wasn't setting that gym up.
Correct. Yeah.
So
I know.
which made that side
So
of it easier. Yeah.
So this gym was down in
Nai Han.
Mm-hmm. And then, so where did the move come to?
So unfortunately, so initially, as you say, was I intimidated? Was I scared? No, I wasn't. But when the deeper I got into it, the more I realized that business was not for me. There were a number of things that
At this particular gym?
At that particular business.
Right.
Was not the business for me, and very quickly there began problems began to emerge between myself and my business partner, and mainly because of course at the time I thought it was all his fault, but actually with 10 years of distance, it was just a completely different frame of reference. He had a completely different background to me, a completely different skill set, completely different educational level. And if I had stayed there for 20 years and tried my very best, we never would have been able to work together. So it very quickly became apparent.
Nice idea.
Lovely idea. But oh my God, as I say, when it actually came to, it was unworkable. It was not possible to work together. But I was very fortunate in that.
Go on, Russell.
No.
About working together?
I was very fortunate because whilst in many respects I'd been quite foolhardy, perhaps some would say, in other respects I'd been very businesslike and sensible. And so when I invested in the gym, I went into it with a contract. So the contract was that I invested the money, but that if I wasn't happy within 1 year, and if I wanted to leave the business, he had to give me all my money back. And he did.
Okay, fair enough.
In fairness to him, he did. So within 6 months, I was in and out.
Yeah,
it was very quick. And so I had all the money back. And so it meant, because Rian had worked there partially as well, so it meant that she had to come out of the business. And there was also a Muay Thai fighter who I'd been helping for a number of years. My ex-business partner made it very difficult for him to stay in the business as well. So there were the three of us out of the business, and it was, what we're going to do now?
What next?
We made this big announcement. We've set up this business in Thailand, and what an incredible loss of face. What can we do now? Oh, I got a good idea. Let's build one of our own, and that's what we did. So was
it that simple a thing that? Because you must have gone through the whole. Well, we could go back home, or we could go somewhere else, or was it just a case of as soon as you came out, I thought, no, let's just do this ourselves? Is that?
I did feel that. I did feel that we could do something that was interesting, and I suppose my appetite had been whetted with the previous gym, and
I'm glad you said that and not Patong.
Yeah, I just
the previous gym.
I got that. I'm with you. Whoever Jim is.
Yeah, I felt that we had the potential, the capability to do something interesting, and despite everything with the on the business side of things, I really enjoyed the business of having
Lots of
Muay
young,
Thai
fit,
camp. It was just
sweaty men.
It was
Six packs.
so different from anything that I'd ever done before. And I said it almost like brought all my life skills together. And it was like as if everything had come together to this.
Was the gym that you first invested in down south, was that similar to this one where you could come and stay for holidays and stuff?
Yeah.
So it was the same kind of setup, which we
Just
should
not,
explain.
just not as good.
So tourists and locals can come and stay here and train for weeks, months, however long they want to live here for.
Yeah. So and the initial concept of this gym,
That's Sumalee gym.
Sumalee.
Whatever.
Yeah. The initial concept of Sumalee was very similar to that gym, which was very similar but
Different.
slightly
Same, but different.
Yeah, but a little bit more westernized. For example, we added the swimming pool, and the rooms were better
Equipped.
I was going to say furnished, but it's not necessarily furnished, but a slightly higher, weren't quite so basic, slightly higher standard.
A bed rather than a mattress.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the original concept of this was as a traditional Muay Thai gym, and that's how we started this business. And so we actually opened this in December 2011, so it's 10 years, coming up to 10 years now. But since then we've evolved. So now we are quite different. That other gym has remained the same, although it's bigger now. But it's remained the same. It's still a traditional Muay Thai gym aimed at predominantly fighters. Mm-hmm. Our gym is much more rounded. And it's not. It's a more holistic offer, if you like, and it's not just about Muay Thai. We've always had a strong focus on nutrition, and we've brought in the yoga program as well. So it's a more rounded offer, because I always felt that with the traditional Muay Thai sector, that they really limited their target market, because they were predominantly interested. It was predominantly males who wanted to fight. But I felt that there was a huge potential for Muay Thai, that it offered a lot more than that, and that a much wider cross section of people could benefit from the discipline of practicing Muay Thai, and that the focus didn't need to be on fighting. It needed to be on the person and what the person could get out of the experience. So that's what we've tried to do with this business.
As a trained fighter myself.
Yes.
Well, I knew you would bring that up. I would have been very surprised if you hadn't mentioned that.
As a fully trained fighter, I trained here, and and we had a great time. We had that's where we met.
Yes.
How long ago was that? I'm trying to work out.
Did she wake you up off the canvas?
Few people picked me up off the canvas. The first time I ever felt that I got knocked out was here. The first time I ever felt my, a proper
brain
ring
cell.
And that was the first time here. The first time, I loved it. I was scared because I'd never done anything like this ever.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting you and coming in, and I had the same assumption that, a Muay Thai gym is for guys who want to fight. It's not for people that just want to come and train and just get fit.
Yeah.
And I walked in here and I was scared shitless, I have to say. But once you get into it and once you meet the guys, and it's fun, and it's a great training process. And
there's nothing better than putting everything behind it and smacking the bag.
Yeah, it's very,
it's
very
just
satisfying.
very therapeutic.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it. Yeah, I actually enjoyed the training probably a lot more than I did enjoy the fight. But
I'm sure you did.
Yeah. Getting my ass kicked for however long it was by a young hot
Just
Brazilian.
on a business side of things, did you at the time when you set this up and sort of ran with it, did you have was it always the case of that's the direction we're going in, or was there always maybe like an exit strategy at the back that I think we can do this and we'll give it a go, but if it doesn't work, we'll do something else, or were you always, because you strike me as the type this is what I want to do, and we're on the train, we're fucking doing it.
Yeah. We learned along the way.
Sure, yeah.
And
Hence why we've
so
evolved
it was a
and
very
adapted.
iterative process where.
But you were committed
do,
to being here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do something and like, oh God, this is causing us a lot of trouble. And I mean,
Just try doing a podcast with Jay.
One time we were. We were more focused on the fighting side of the business in the past, but during that journey, we learned a lot. And I mean, one of the main things was that if we wanted to be a successful business, that couldn't be our main focus. And by successful, I mean a viable business.
Sure, yeah.
And viability to me is where you can meet your commitments, you can meet your commitments to your customers, to your staff, and to yourself. And if you can't do that in business, then you shouldn't be in business. And so in order to be truly viable, we had to change the focus. Otherwise, we were always going to be struggling. And so it was a long journey, and we're constantly learning. And of course now, during this period of no international tourists to Phuket, we're having to learn again. And so this actually for us has been probably one of the busiest times that we've had in the whole of the time that we've had the business, because we've had to be creative and think outside the box in order just to remain open.
Yeah. You've had some great experience in this business for
Yes.
a long time now.
Yeah.
I mean, you should write a book or something, because that would be, I mean, I'm sure people would really like to learn from your experience. I mean,
That's the thing that jumps out at me.
I would write a book.
Obviously, the podcast would be the first step,
Yeah,
but
I
would write a book about this.
If there was a book about it, I mean, I don't know if you've...
Well,
if there was one,
I would buy it.
I would buy it.
I'd buy it.
So, but
So
where would one
funny
go
you
to?
should say that, but one of the things that we've done to try to survive during this period is we've developed an online platform, and people can subscribe to this platform for what we think is interesting content. And we've try to be a little bit different from a lot of, some gyms have done similar things, but what they've done is training videos for different techniques, Muay Thai techniques. And we didn't want to go, because that's a very crowded space, so we didn't want to go down that route. And all the time, so many people during the course of this business, so many people have said, you should write a book, you should write a book. So I thought, now is the time. Now is the time to write a book. So what I have been doing, I think I've been doing, I'm trying to think how many chapters I've written so far. Probably 8 or 9 chapters I've written so far. Is that every month I write a chapter and it's published on the online platform amongst other content that we have. But yeah, so I think I've written about 8 chapters now, and I think I've got 3 or 4 to go. So the book's nearly finished. My target date for finishing the book will be in June, I think. And then I have to decide what to do with it, whether to self-publish it or see if I can find a publisher that's interested. At the moment, I'm pursuing both directions, and maybe nobody be interested.
When's the 10-year anniversary of this place?
December.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You could also do an audio book as well. I know someone who's into audio marketing. You should talk to them.
Really?
They're lovely.
Who are they?
I don't know. Not me. Russell?
So, I mean, you've obviously covered a fair amount, and you've already mentioned you've ticked off one of the items on your bucket list by doing this, really.
Okay.
What other things have you maybe still got left on your bucket list?
So, I've given this some thought, because I thought you may ask this question.
I'm glad someone's thought about it. Crikey.
So that was on my bucket list, to live and work in Asia. And another thing that has been a lifelong goal of mine is to become proficient in another language.
How's that going?
Okay.
How's your Welsh?
Welsh I don't speak,
Oh.
unfortunately. No, I don't. But for a long time I studied French. I studied French in school.
Who didn't?
And I studied French as an adult in night school and things like that. But in French, there's an awful lot of little words, and they're very annoying. The big words are fine, but
What, the French?
in
They're very annoying.
Yeah.
I find all
when
words
I came
annoying.
to Thailand,
To be
when
fair.
I came to Thailand, I started to learn to speak Thai, and I was mainly because when I was out with my daughter, and we were with Thai people, I didn't have any idea what was going on, and I thought, I've got to up my game here. I've got to start to learn to speak Thai, which I did. But at that time, I didn't learn to read and write it. I was just trying to learn
Speak it.
by ear, yeah. And I realized that to become truly proficient, you need to be able to at least read Thai to be able to, because otherwise you just don't get the sounds, you don't get the tones. So one of the things I've been doing in the last year when I've had more time is I've been learning to read and write Thai as well. So my bucket list is to be, another item, which is to become more proficient in a language, is hopefully that will be Thai. So I've improved a lot in the last year, and I've still got an awful long way to go. And compared to my daughter, my proficiency is embarrassingly low.
You've just described on a Thai level Jay's English level with probably Sahara.
Yep.
Yep.
So I think my reading level, I would say, is probably like a 5-year-old.
Mine too.
In Thai.
Oh,
English.
Right, yeah.
Oh, bugger.
So, and in order to aid that process, is that one of the things, so during the 11 years that I've been here, I have traveled a lot in Thailand. As you said, the Muay Thai has given us fantastic experiences, and we've been to places that most tourists would never go to. And so I think there are something like 75 provinces in Thailand, and I've so far visited about 36. So one thing I would like to do if and when I leave Thailand, before that happens, I would like to have visited all the provinces in Thailand.
Cool.
And in the two things, the learning to speak better Thai and visiting the provinces will go hand in hand.
Absolutely,
because the more you obviously go outside the tourist areas, the more you need to be able to speak Thai. So
And also there's different dialects, right?
Yeah,
So
it will help. They will help each other.
Yes.
Being able to speak more Thai will help the travel, and the travel being more immersed in Thai culture will help the language.
excellent. I like that.
Yeah.
That's quite a cool one.
We're going to have to finish because we've
wow.
cracked on
Babbling
for
on
50
for
minutes.
ages.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, hello.
Oh, God.
Hello.
It's about to go all south. It was going so well.
The daughter's walked in.
Yeah.
There is so much more that we haven't touched yet. We
Including you.
Let's go back down to Patong again. But there's all the charity events, there's all the other extra stuff you do, the work you do behind the scenes, all the stuff and the holidays that you go on and all the stuff like that. We haven't even touched that, but just looking at your daughter who can't even walk through a door. Maybe there is some training to be done. How to open a door for your daughter.
Her Thai might be very good, but she's shit at doors.
I think you're a cool person. I got to know you when I did my Muay Thai training and we've become friends, I think. No, we have. There's no thing. We have become friends from that. Cool person. When this place opens, well, it's open now, isn't it? People still come and train now.
Yeah.
So make sure you head down.
And we've got a good group of local people that do come and train every day and have a lot of fun, a lot of enjoyment out of it. So, we're certainly open for business and have been throughout, apart from the time when we had to close compulsory.
And you got the vegan little restaurant, you got the healthy
Yoga,
restaurant, you got yoga, got everything, and you're come and see you because you're a cool person.
Thank
out
you.
the book. We'll put all the links in the description so people can have a look and sign up
Check
for
it
that
out
stuff.
from there.
Okay.
Sweet.
Lynn, thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Pete. That was awesome.
Thank you
I
for
really
listening
enjoyed
to
that.
me. Thank you very
Well,
much.
no
I've
problem.
Well,
thoroughly enjoyed
hopefully
it.
they still have. If they turned off now. Buggered. Thank you, darling.
Thank you, sweetie.
Thanks, Russ.
Bye.
Bye. Welcome to the outro.
Well, that was fun.
I like Lynn.
A lot.
I do like her a lot. She's been a big mentor to me for various different reasons. But she's a cool lady. She's smart. She's lovely. I tell you, I wouldn't mess with her.
No.
In any way, shape, or form.
Wouldn't want to bump into her on a dark and stormy night.
she would kick both our asses.
We'd enjoy it, but she would definitely do some damage.
I would definitely enjoy it. No, she's
lovely.
very cool. And her story of coming here, and like I said, she is the foreign queen of Muay Thai in Phuket.
That's a
for
good way
sure.
of putting it. Yeah.
And she's coming back in now.
So we should start being polite. Is that?
We can be very, very polite.
Yes.
But make sure you do check out, and I'm going to ask, as she walks in, I'm going to check out now, because she's
to double check.
She's walking in.
Sumalee.
Sumalee. No, you can. It's all right.
You don't have to tiptoe.
We're doing the outro.
What's your website?
It's Sumalee.com.
Right, so the website.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. www. Just in case you don't know that bit. SumaleeBoxingGym.com, and that's spelled Sumalee. I can see that because there's a sign up there. Anyway, we're just saying how lovely you are.
Yeah. To be fair.
Don't what? We'll keep going. Don't worry.
It's okay. No, we'll quietly wait for you to collect your things and walk out, and then we'll say what we really think.
No worries. Bye.
Bye, sweet.
Right, she's gone. I tell you what, she's terrible, awful lady. No, she's absolutely going back to it. Joking aside, very, very cool lady. I got a lot of respect for her, and the kid Rihanna's lovely as well.
Yeah, no, totally. They're a lovely. I was going to say couple, but they're not a couple. But a lovely
Not a
couple of
couple.
people.
They're a lovely couple of people.
And look, that's only the second time I've met her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I met her here the first time when we did Rianne.
So to speak.
So to speak. Yeah, and she watched, and she was cool with it.
Brilliant. I got movies like that, I tell you.
So that was fine. But and like we just had a little sort of slide chat to the side every now and again, a couple of sort of in jokes. But I just, when you meet some people and you just warm to them straight away. That's how I feel with her.
No, she's lovely, and she's I don't have a bad word to say about her. She's put me in my place a couple of times, and if I'm being stupid or being silly, she'll slap me down and stuff.
That, millions of people around the world have just warmed to her already.
Because she slaps me around. Thank you for your listening of us. That was bad England, wasn't it? Please like us.
Bad England.
Bad England. Please like us on all the social media platforms and give us a 5-star rating on the old Apple iTunes,
even if
iMusic.
You think it's shit.
Yeah, even if you think it's shit, just do it.
Do
Help us out.
5-star anyway.
Listen to Bartcast, which you can go to Canine Point Academy and find it there.
You can indeed.
And if you've got a dog, then go to Canine Point Academy as well.
You can indeed.
In all fairness, you could just go to...
Well, I don't know now, because are you talking about the podcast or Canine Point Academy?
Both.
So either way, I would go to PhuketPodcast.com.
Which you can
for
then...
all your listening needs.
No, go to that, and then it links to your website, and then I get better rankings
so
because of that.
go to PhuketPodcast.com.
Thanks, Russell.
You're welcome, buddy.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.